So I'm opening. So if you're watching us online, but everyone here, I'm opening up my Twitter right now. So I'm BR JavaMan on Twitter, and if you're watching us online or live, you can send questions on Twitter, right? But everyone else here, you can ask questions. Here, how this is going to work? We have a whole lineup of speakers here, right? That I don't even. Do you guys want to stand up and say your names? Or when you stand up, you say your name before you answer a question. Maybe that's better, right? Okay, so we have this whole first line here is our speakers, right? And we have lots of Java champions, open source committers. We have JVM developers. We have some of the most all kinds of things, right? You have lots of people here. Imposters. We have Java user group leaders. We have Yeah, we have a lot of people here to answer your questions, okay? And the idea is here. Douglas, right here, right, is going to be helping us out. We're going to ask, he's going to type the questions up, and once this thing is full of questions, I'm going to give us, 15 minutes, 10 minutes for questions, really quick? 10 minutes for questions. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to get all the questions, and then we're going to spend 35 minutes answering them, okay? So, questions. Who has any question about Java? Anything? Or software development? There's one right here. Okay, cool.
So, suppose I've got a wonderful idea for a new simple method call in one of the SDK libraries. What's the best way about getting traction for that idea and actually getting it into the SDK?
Okay, the best way of getting new methods and new features into Java. Can I be? Oh, and I'll be rephrasing the question a little bit. It's in Java in general, right? Okay, good. Questions here. One.
Is there any chance we get real tuples in Java?
Real tuples in Java? Okay, here.
What about the string interpolation? What? String interpolation?
String interpolation?
Yeah, there is a new string way to. There's a new way to make a string multi-line, but it has no placeholders like, JS strings and so on.
You got that one? Stream? Yeah, stream, not string. Stream interpolation.
Huh? P-O-L.
Stream.
Interpolation.
Oh, string, not stream. Okay. String interpolation. Okay, cool. All right.
Strings.
Who else?
Like the API. Stream?
Who else? Here.
Is it possible to break a nested loop in Java?
String interpolation.
Stream.
With R, not a T.
All right, got it. Okay, so, again.
Is it possible to break a nested loop in Java?
It's possible to break a nested loop in Java. What else? You can ask things about anything. Software development in general, Java, future, past, and present. If you want to know anything, that's the moment.
Is Java still being considered as being too slow?
Is Java still too slow? Not being considered, right? How about your question?
It's always too slow.
Why did you implement the tree map as a red-black tree?
How do you implement tree map? But as what?
Why did you implement it as a red-black tree? It was just the first question. It comes in.
So why did you implement tree map as a something that I didn't get? Hope someone got it. Okay.
Is there intending to be a de facto guide to guide people to which OpenJDK implementation is the best for use case X, Y, or Z?
Okay, so are you going to have a OpenJDK map on which one is best? Hey, Martin, are you going to have that? Yes, you can ask questions, sure.
Yeah. When is serialization finally going to be deprecated?
Okay.
Brian's not here.
Right? Oh, the tree map, we missed one. Oh, yes, so there's going to be a map on how to choose on JDK implementation. That was his question, right? I got it right? Yes, more or less. Any specific that is important? Oh, for a given use case, if you're going to have a map of which JDK to use, right? Okay, here.
Just a plain text editor.
What are the plans for fixing exception handling on Lambda expressions?
What are the plans of fixing?
You want me to put it out there?
exceptions on lambda expressions. We're behind here.
We're distracting. We're getting distracted. Go ahead, one more time.
Oh yes, yes. When are we going to deprecate serialization? Yes, deprecation of serialization and repeat this. Okay, let him get this. Okay, next one.
What are the plans for fixing exception handling on lambda expressions?
Fixing exception handling on lambda expressions.
They're still typing. Okay. What are some low-level open source libraries that you find useful?
Low-level open source libraries that you find useful. Okay, there's one more there. I'll go here. I'll go here. Yes. Thank you.
How long will Unsafe stick around?
Oh man, philosophical questions. How long Unsafe is going to stick around? Who else? Here.
We're already backed up now. Stop.
How do you keep up with the new release cycle with a new Java version every 6 months in a microservice environment? Okay.
No. Which one did I miss?
Yeah.
I need to answer that in nanoseconds.
I know how to keep up with that.
Yes.
Or, like Unsafe. How long will it?
The only problem is you can't see that because.
All right. So what else?
You've got to keep up.
And by the way, if you're watching us live, you go to BR Javaman and you on Twitter and you message me, and I'm gonna get your questions added here as soon as we finish this. Okay. Here, one more.
So, what are the new future coming soon features that you guys are looking forward to?
Okay, new features that we're looking forward to. All right. Here.
Looking back, are you happy with the new release cycle?
Okay, very good. All right. One more over there. That's a question.
Wait. What was that question?
Are you happy with the new release cycle? I actually, since we're just waiting for this, I actually did an interview yesterday with Brian Getz about this. It was pretty cool. So, anyone else?
Do we have enough?
Is that it? Are you happy? If you answer all those questions, are you happy?
How do you look at OSGI these days?
Okay, well, OSGI has been a while. We got this question about OSGI many times, right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, tabs versus spaces. we can do a show of hands, right? OSGI, there's a little I in the end. OSGI. Small I, yes.
Small I. We're going to be
Right.
sure.
Okay. One more. Last question.
Good number.
Okay, that's good, right? Good number?
16 is the right number.
16 is the right number. Okay, so we need one more. One more question.
12 would be better.
I can take some. Okay, there's one more here.
How do you work with an Oracle-defined collection in Java? So you define a user-defined collection, like a type and a table. How do you use that in Java?
How do you define a new collection in Java and how you use it?
The one that you would pass back and forth from to PL SQL.
Oh, to PL SQL. So how to integrate Java and PL SQL could be a question?
All right, that's close enough.
That's close enough? Okay. Can we do this? No. Integration, Java and PL SQL? No one understands. No one understands quite the question? No? So someone got that? All right, let's see. Let's see when you get there. PL SQL and Java. Okay.
We put one like a bomb in the room?
With collection, right. Oh, yes, because you have a collection in PL SQL and you have to pass back and forth to Java, right? That's the point. Okay. Okay, I have a collection on PL SQL and I have to pass back and forth to Java. You have some native things that we have to work on, right? Okay, look it up, right. Okay, is that it? So if you still have any question on Twitter, I'm gonna take a look on Twitter in a minute.
I have one last one to add, but we should probably do it only last.
Right.
How do we move past Java 8?
How do we move past Java 8? Right?
Yep.
Who told me this the other day? You told me this, right? There's a after 8.
Oh yeah, like
right?
mints.
Yeah, the mints. The mints after 8 mints.
Anybody here goes production?
Okay, so
Post Java 8, I'll give you a little mint.
So so here, what I want to do right now is, now that we have the questions, I want to ask all the people that want to answer those questions, kind of to walk on the stage, and I want to ask you, all of you, and other people that want to ask questions, that want to answer questions, you can walk on the stage. Come on, walk on the stage, guys, all of you. Come on.
Okay.
Walk on the stage, and we're going to have a round of applause from everyone. Come on, yes, yes. Please, round of applause to all of, yes, thank you. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. You gonna ask questions? You gonna answer questions? Yeah, come on, go there. Yes, go there, man.
There's an on switch.
Yes, all of us. Yes, it's good so we can have a nice picture over there.
Does this thing work? Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
I think I'm probably the best qualified to answer the very first one.
Okay.
So I'll take that one. Yep. So there's a very practical example for doing exactly what this question asked, which is add a method to the JDK. Look up thread.onSpinWeight. I went through the entire process of talking through with people, opening a JEP, putting through the code and the submissions, getting people to argue over the name of the method for 4 months, and getting into JDK 9. And the reason it's a really good example is it's a method that does absolutely nothing. So it's the smallest possible contribution you could do to OpenJDK. Literally, you can't do less. It's a method with a Java doc where no op is a valid implementation. I would highly suggest go look at the history of it, because that is what you should expect to do. I think it's a good min bar, right? Now, it's not that 2 methods take much longer, but you should be ready for that level of interaction to have the discussions and all that, and don't expect it to be done in 3 weeks because it's really small. There, under 3 minutes, I hope.
Hi, my name's Stuart Marks. I work in Oracle in the OpenJDK group on the core libraries, and I just wanted to add to Gil's fine answer there. The first thing, if I recall what you said, was the first thing you said, you talk to people about it and then blah, 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 blah. So talk to people about it, because talking about, first of all, it establishes a line of communication, but there's some fundamental things about adding features. What we do not want is somebody to say, here's some code, please take it, thank you, bye. Right? Doesn't work. No, it's like, if you want an API, then you have a problem. Tell us about what the problem is. Let's talk about it. Figure out what the real problem is. Sometimes people say, oh, I have this problem. You have to do some analysis. Oh, the real problem is that blah, 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 blah. Oh, this is interesting, right? That is the essential part of it. Once we get that rolling, then it's like, now to solve that underlying problem, then we need to do this, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So talk about it.
Yeah, and accept that what will end up happening is not necessarily the thing you started with.
So I would go for 16. So I'm Sven. I work at Airbus, but I'm a friendly open source guy from around the corner. Having been to a lot of sessions here, I would say you just take the polyglot Graal VM and embed it, and everything is fine.
Not that, not that.
Did you say question 16?
That's not Java. It doesn't meet the thing. Real tuples in Java, it said.
No, we're on 16.
No, so integrated with
okay,
Java.
yeah,
So
16.
So you,
We're not doing an order. Where it's a random list. I want to do.
So you're done with question 16?
Yeah.
All right.
Alright,
So
okay.
I'm going to pick question. Sorry, I can't read it. 6. Why is the tree map implemented as a red-black tree? Answer is because it's the best way to do it. Second answer, because it's the only way to do it in a reasonable way. Does that make it? No? Okay. Red-black tree is self-balanced, so if you don't want to add and remove stuff and have a completely unbalanced binary tree, because basically a red-black tree, some kind of binary tree.
5 other types of self-balancing trees. Why red, black?
Because it's cool, it's red and black, and everybody likes red and black.
Good answer.
And we have only 3 minutes for questions, so Maurice, I'm sure you want to pick one.
Okay. So I'll answer the question of whether Java is too slow. So of course it's too slow because like you always want a faster system naturally. And on the other hand, no, it's not too slow because like it's really very fast. But I mean, more seriously, people always, I mean, the standard comparison is always with statically compiled languages, and any language with a dynamic runtime is going to, in the end, have an edge. If it's properly maintained, it's going to have an edge on any statically compiled language because it's just going to have so much more information about the environment that it's running in. So it's only, you can only answer that question by comparison with other languages. And no, Java isn't too slow.
So I think I want to add to that. Was having trouble convincing a friend of mine once that this was the case, and wrote a custom implementation of 1,000 linked lists of 1,000 nodes of 1,000 random integers, and ran through the same job, and in both C++ and in Java with the best compilers I could find on equivalent hardware. Everything else was identical. And the runtime in Java for this wound up with the JIT compilation, wound up being about half the time of C++. So this is statically compiled code that is running directly in native hardware. So the JIT compilation that the JVM gives us gives a tremendous advantage in terms of performance, especially if it's properly tuned for your specific use case.
I'll give you another great example of how it gets faster is Java will work faster on the CPU you don't have yet than C works on that CPU when you first run it, because it JITs to it. And when the EVX512, vector support came out in Skylake, JIT compilers that knew how to vectorize for that ran twice as fast, and C stayed at the same speed because you have to go recompile that.
I can answer number 3, string interpolation, which is neither a question nor it's not a sentence, it just is. So my name is Alex Buckley. I work at Oracle on the Java language. So who remembers that in Java 12 we briefly had raw string literals? Some. Who has downloaded JDK 13 and tried out text blocks? Who is waiting for string interpolation in text blocks? You must be, because you asked the question. Yes, so we recognize that string interpolation is a very valuable thing. What we're trying to do is make sure that the expansion of literals from one line of source code with a very particular escape language, \n, \r, \b, the expansion from that to multi-line strings with a bigger escape language for useful line continuation characters and more useful escape codes, and optionally rawness in the string, and optionally interpolation spaces in the string. We're trying to make sure that that transition from basic string literals as you have them today to much more powerful literals of type string is done cleanly. And so the reason we pulled back raw string literals is because they were a very particular answer. They were multi-line and they were raw, and that's not a bad combination. That's useful for some people, but often you want multi-line and not raw, and you want some slightly different escape sequences, and it sort of goes on and on and on. So string interpolation is really a sub-feature of the bigger feature. How do you have more expressive and useful literals of type string? So it's coming. We have like prototypes, but it's kind of backed up behind. First, we have to get text blocks with the multi-line. And then there'll be more escape sequences that work in text blocks and in string literals. And then there'll be interpolation, which will work in text blocks and in string literals. And we need sort of the cross product to work nicely.
Paul Weber, San Diego Java Users Group. We'll take number 17 for $200. How do we move past Java 8? It depends. It's a business question as well as a technical question. And this is at my company, ResMed. We're in support of Java 7, Java 8. We have new development on a Java 12. And we also like long-term support somewhere in there. So we'll figure it out as we go. But let's say I'm assuming that it's more of a technical question. And the issue just comes up as to understanding, what is it in Java 8, and if you're going to move to Java 9, or can you just jump to Java 13? And does it work better then? And probably it's an issue with modules or modularity. So it's a small problem, it's really just kind of solve that one problem and not try to, how should I say, rewrite everything using whatever the new features 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Just try to solve the problem of reel it, compile it, reel it, run it. Check out your dependency libraries. They're not all up at the same level either, and that's the dependency nightmare. But it is just a technical problem. Your business may not want to spend money on that technical problem. So that's why I say it depends.
So I always like to just check an audience on this, and this is a high-level audience. So let's do a show of hands. Who here is used Java 11? I don't count 9 and 10. Java 11 or after. Okay, who hasn't? That's about half and half. Yeah, that's the next question. Who is using it in anger, not as a little pilot and all that? Like, who here is completely on 11? There's no 8 left in the company. You're my heroes, yeah. Who here has an application in production on 11? Very good. I like these results. They're much better than they were 6 months ago. Yeah.
The Java, it is hard to truly understand how big and varied the Java world is. If I stand in the exhibition hall and talk to someone about Java 11, I will promptly find someone who says, yeah, but I'm on 1.6. If I stand there and assume that the person I'm talking to is on Java 8, I'll find out they just downloaded JDK 13 and they're really excited about Panama and they're getting the 14 EA as we speak. It's true that Java 8 came out in February 2018. Sorry, let me start again. February 2014. That is 5.5 years ago. No one who runs Java 8 is running the GA from February 2014. No one. Everyone on Java 8 has upgraded multiple times. 8U20, 40, 60, 80, 100, and whatever it is. If you can do those upgrades, then once you are on Java 11, and I agree, Java 9 and 10 are irrelevant. Forget about them. The fact that 9 comes after 8 is irrelevant. No one supports them. The binaries are not rebuilt with security updates. So if you can get to 11, and I agree there are issues to do with, it's not so much modularization, it's to do with libraries that you all use that were taking liberties with the internals of the JDK and assuming that the version string started with 1 dot. That is why most libraries didn't run on 9. So if you upgrade your libraries so that you can then compile and run on 11, going from 11 to 12, 12 to 13, 13 to 14, 14 to 15, is just like going from 8U20 to 8U40 to 8U60 to 8U80 to 8U100, right? Maybe that hasn't been fully explained, but the fact that they are integers every time does not mean they are major releases with 1,000 new features. A JDK release these days has 5 features in it, or 8 features, maybe 12 features, maybe 2 features, and that's fine. And you can ignore it if you like, but it will be like upgrading from 8U80 to 8U120, having skipped over 8U100. That's fine. You don't have to upgrade every 6 months or every 12 months. But the expectation that there is an integer that hangs in the air like 8 did for half a decade, it was never true because you were never running 8GA, you were running an 8 update. That's all 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 are. They are continuous updates of the language VM and API and tools.
So counterpoint?
Sure, let's have a
No, I'm not going to use
discussion.
that phrase, but yeah. I think that's a great evangelism message, and I do want everybody to convert and follow exactly what you said, but I think there is a little realism to pour on that. The real question in our way is, are the things we depend on moving? Who here has a dependency that doesn't work on 11? Okay, so we need to get those things moved. It's not their fault. A lot of them didn't do anything wrong. You took away stuff that they were depending on that was perfectly legal, but it doesn't matter, okay? The key thing is there's something in Maven Central I depend on, doesn't run on 11, I'm going to wait, right? So moving those forward, and especially when we look at a room that's interested in hopefully contributing, taking up open source stuff and all that, you find one of those, maybe you should spend a couple days on a weekend helping out moving it to 11, because it'll help everybody. I have a tiny little library that I moved that got broke on 9. I did nothing wrong. I was I was pure Java, fully spec'd, and that thing went away in 11. So I fixed it. I'm lucky enough to have fixed it. We need to find all the other wins where, you know, they're out on vacation and we need to fix it for them.
I know we're going a lot on this, but this is in some sense the existential question of the year, right? Sometimes features will be removed from the Java SE platform. Sometimes they will be removed. For 2 decades, people have convinced themselves that nothing is ever removed and that every Java release is 100% compatible. That was never true, right? There are any number of stories people can tell about, well, upgrading from 6U30 to 6U32, or from 8U20 to 8U40 broke XXX. It's true those were not typically API changes, but they were behavioral changes, and some code was affected. And if the code was a well-known library, let's not tell stories now, then everybody had to wait for an upgrade. So when I say you can go from 11 to 12 to 13 to 14, and they are relatively small upgrades, the asterisk is maybe there will be complete APIs removed between 13 and 14. Between 10 and 11, Corba was removed. Between 10 and 11, JAX-B was removed. It goes on and on and on, because after years and years of Sun and then Oracle maintaining those libraries, we didn't want to do it anymore. No one else stepped up. Another case in point, by the way, is the CMS garbage collector that is going to be removed any day now because no one has stepped up to maintain it after 2 years of asking. So features will be removed from the Java platform. And at that point, either someone steps up to maintain basically to externalize what was formerly in the JDK, which has happened with JAX-B and JAX-WS, right? Or that train of Java development comes to an end and someone has to recode. There's no way around that. I want to be upfront about that.
Should have done that one at the end. Okay, I'll go for the joke one. How do I look at OSGI? Nobody does anymore. That's it. It's going the way of the dodo, as far as I'm aware. Any counterpoint to that? No. Good.
Okay, let me quickly take on the, if you guys are happy with the new release cycle from the point of view. So as I said, I had an interview yesterday with Brian Getz, and he said that he basically, and I'm going to post this online probably tomorrow, but he basically said that in the beginning he was very skeptical, and I think we talk about this, being skeptical on stage of the keynote on Monday. But now that is done, and it's the 4th time that they're doing it, things are very smooth, and Alex, you can tell me if that's true or not, right? But things are very smooth, and this week there was a release week, and Brian was here at the event. He was having fun at the event, enjoying the event. He doesn't even know exactly what the day that things we're going to go live. This whole process, it's a lot smooth. The best thing he said was that they had a whole lot of overhead in the process of a lot of meetings and a lot of release meetings, and they would spend months doing meetings every day about the release. All of this has disappeared, and it's a lot easier, right? So congratulations to all of you for doing this.
I'm going to make a very quick follow-up to that. If we were still in the old release cadence, where Java 8 was 2014, Java 9 was 2017, under the old cadence, Java 10 would be 2020. It would be next March or next September, which is to say you would still be waiting now for VAR, for TLS 1.3, for any number of performance improvements and new APIs. You would still be waiting for all of that. That doesn't seem great, right? That's all I wanted to say. Just sometimes think of what the other world looks like, and you say, I'm kind of glad we're not there anymore.
We wouldn't have had any kind of preview release neither.
I suppose it falls to me to answer number 8. As Dr. Deprecator, this covers deprecation, and I think I need a new title, which will be Dr. Deserializer. Okay, so all right, there are no plans to deprecate serialization. No, so serialization, as everybody well knows, has many problems, and it has been reinvented probably several dozen times, and each of those implementations has many problems. And so there's definitely a need for serialization of some kind or another. And the one that's in Java is in heavy use, and despite all its flaws, it is not going to be deprecated and removed. However, we are thinking ahead. There are some ideas, and they are nothing more than ideas, but Brian Getz wrote them down in an article entitled Towards Better Serialization. I think if you just do a web search for that, you'll find it. But anyway, so what that does is it has a set of ideas for what a potential hypothetical future serialization would look like when it is hooked up to the language in a more robust and rigorous and proper way than the current serialization mechanism is. However, it is not a proposal for replacement for the current serialization. So serialization is not going to be deprecated, and we are committed to living with it for the long term.
Unfortunately, but yeah.
Actually, I'll take it.
You have a microphone right there.
I know I do. But I'm going to stand up.
Okay, good.
Just like everybody else. So question number 12, which was, how do we keep up with 6-month releases? That's actually an easy one. You basically upgrade. You try the upgrade when they come out. You know they're coming out every 6 months. And I'll tell you from personal experience, when we have avoided upgrading, there are times where it just becomes a nightmare to do the upgrade. The good news is they're coming out every 6 months, which means not a lot's going to break. If you just take the effort to do it at the point when it comes out, then it's going to be a lot easier.
Counterpoint?
Sure.
I honestly think that the only production way to deal with the 6-month releases as they stand today for the vast majority of the universe is to play with them on your laptop and to test and make sure your code can run on them, but don't use a single feature of them and wait for the LTS. Now, I know that's pouring water over this, but let me explain why. Java 12.02 was the last update to Java 12. Who here went to production with that? Okay, good. Imagine what you would do if there is a security issue in it and it's fixed in Java 13.01. Do you want to run 13.01 in production when it's 3 weeks old? Now, I know it's a very small change, but do you want to? Are you going to do this? Will your guys let you do this? And I think we currently have this impedance mismatch on, can we take this there and leave it and just update the dots like we used to? I think there are good solutions for this coming potentially. We're trying to work together on those, but right now, LTS is production. You can move on to the next project. But if you run on a feature release and you use if you use the new syntax in Java 12, and you have to choose between moving to an unstable release or rewriting your code to move back, that there's nothing to run on for a few months until things get fixed. You've painted yourself into a corner. I don't think that's what you should be doing today. So how do you deal with them? How do you move with them? Make sure your code works on them. Be ready for 17. But if you're going to production on one of these things, you're asking for trouble.
But it's perfectly fine if you run an OpenJDK binary produced not from Oracle, but from another vendor that is nothing more than a series of backports from the JDK head repository. I'm being sarcastic. All JDK, OpenJDK 11.0, 3.11.0, 4.11.0, 5.11.0, 6 from various vendors, if you look at the mailing lists, JDK updates dev, you will see what those releases contain are backports basically from JDK 13, from the JDK repository.
I guess I'm missing the point because nobody is doing a 12.03. So what are you going to do? We're not arguing
Don't know
whose
that.
is better.
We have 4 minutes to a lot of questions. So let's try to do really, really quick. Who wants to do real tuples in Java?
Let me do that very quickly because you asked a specific question, unless you want to. This question is about tuples versus records. Who is familiar with the proposal for records in Java? Quite a few, where a record is a nominally typed, shallowly immutable, syntax-friendly carrier for known data, right? That's what it is. This is not about properties. This is not about tuples that may or may not appear in other languages that are structurally typed. This is about doing for simple data carriers what Lambda did for abstractions, which is provide a really straightforward way to declare what you mean, give it a nominal class type that is completely familiar, that responds to ordinary methods, no new weird syntax to do with the type of the tuple, and that you can migrate an ordinary class to a record class fairly straightforwardly, including if you serialized an instance of an ordinary class and the ordinary class turns into a record class, can you still deserialize it safely, which is the current issue of the moment. So will there be real tuples in Java? Java will have the most useful data carrier construct for its user base.
Really quick, right?
All right, number 4, is it possible to break a nested loop in Java? Yes, you can put a label on a block statement and use a construct called labeled break. It's a little used feature, but sometimes when you need it, you really need it. Okay, what's the other one? 9, fixing exception handling on Java. So we're definitely aware that there are such issues. There are a variety of techniques, none of them terribly convenient for dealing with them. And we have a handful of ideas, but no, there are no current plans, unfortunately, to fix exception handling with Lambdas.
Okay, I'm going to answer number 7, a map how to choose a JDK for use in case. So Martin here, it works on the Adopt Open JDK project. And at that project, we have been discussing, and with the Java champions also, discussing on how to create that map. It doesn't exist yet, but yes, we're planning and figure out ways on doing it. Yes. Okay.
Well, Martin is down there. He probably could address it for Adopt.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I'd step in and say there are multiple options out there. There's the Oracle JDK. There's the Oracle Open JDK builds that they put up that go for 6 months. There are probably 5 different free Open JDK builds you could have that are well tested and credible. And then there are commercial options. You can choose across all those. I obviously have to step in and say we make a...
Next question. Yeah. Choose another one. Choose another one to answer. No time to 2 people answer the same question.
Personally, I'm looking, number 13, I'm looking forward to value types, and I'm looking forward to pattern matching.
Unsafe. How long will Unsafe be around?
5 seconds. Low-level open source libraries that are useful. I'll pick up ASM. ASM, is it? Yeah, yes. That's it. Right. Good. Answered question 10.
Unsafe will be around for as long as it takes to pull all of the useful features out of it and standardize them in the java.star API, which started happening in Java 9 with var handles and is going to, actually it started in Java 8 because the base64 encoding and decoding that was in Unsafe was standardized in Java util, in Java 8. So that was some of Unsafe being sliced out. It continued in 9. It will continue for years to come.
Okay, one quick follow-up on new features. There's already mention of value types in Valhalla. I believe those will change the way everybody programs data structures in Java. In addition, Valhalla also includes generic specialization, which will also change the way everything is done in Java. Killer feature.
All right, we have 3 seconds. So just to we answer all the questions from I can see. Is any question that missed? Did you guys talk about OSGI? I didn't see it. Who talked about OSGI? Okay, all right. So I missed that one. Okay, so I'd like to thank all of you guys for being here. Yes, we have 5 minutes more? Oh, we have 5 more minutes. All right. What? Twitter? No, there's no question on Twitter, unfortunately. So not anyone watching on the stream. Okay, so anyone wants? Okay, so now that we have 5 minutes, anyone want to?
We can go for a Q&A session.
Okay.
We can go for a Q&A session now.
Okay, there's one more question.
Two questions.
So let's go one more question here. Oh, if anyone wants to compliment, because I was cutting some people off, so if anyone wants to compliment something.
I was going to say that.
I didn't hear the answer to number 10 when it got crossed off, so that might have been like a 1-second answer. Could you give a longer one?
Okay, yes, okay. He did.
Yes, I said it was low-level source library that are useful on 10. There was the low-level that would.
Yes, the low-level question.
And I mentioned ASM, which is a low-level library that does some bytecode analysis and manipulation. It's built on the visitor pattern and maintained by a friend of mine called Remy Forax. And it's a great library. Yeah. Not everybody is going to use it, but it's a really great library. ByteBuddy.
Okay, there's a question here.
Okay, this is for Stuart and Alex on the end. So we're getting value types. We're going to get real tuples, right? It's going to be awesome. We're going to get type deconstruction on return values.
Couldn't hear the question.
Type deconstruction on return values. So you return a tuple, you return a pair, but you assign it into 3 different variables on the call site.
Oh, multiple return values?
No. You're returning one tuple, say, out of your function. So you have first and second, but your call site you have int x, comma int y equals some method call, and the compiler will automatically deconstruct that return value into your things.
Are you asking if this is coming, or are you proposing it?
Yes. Because it's super awesome in like Kotlin, for example. I think Scala has it. Other languages have it.
You have just opened a Pandora's box of let's compare Java to Kotlin.
I know, and someone had to do it, so I'm okay.
Well, I think there are other ways you can write something like that using pattern matching.
The multiple return of values is coming in connection with better serialization and in connection with records. But assigning said multiply return values to multiple variables, that's a structurally typed tuple. Int x, comma int y, how do you type that? We're not doing that.
Okay, we have 2 more minutes. Do you want to compliment? So I cut you right in the middle of your question. So I'll go get it. Let him answer a little bit, and I'll go get it.
Well, okay. Where I was cut off, and that's the thing. I was gonna basically do the obligatory. There's an OpenJDK build that's out there on all the platforms. Been around the longest. It's called Zulu. You go to zulu.org. It's free. It's one of those free things that's very credible and good and tested and TCK'd and free for everything's. I just want to make sure we don't end up walking away with there's one way to do this. Go around, look around, see what you like. There are many options, and that's a good thing.
Okay, may I? Hi, I wanted to ask about strings in general. Historically, there have been quite a few problems with them. First, with there were strings alone, then string buffer, I think, then string builder, and so on and so forth. I don't know. There have never been, I think, such problems in other languages. Is there anything in particular that contributed to that in Java in general, or?
Well, I don't know. I mean, so strings have evolved in many respects. Strings are an unsolved problem, but strings have changed a lot underneath. For instance, string concatenation is now performed by invoke dynamic, which is an improvement. One of the problems is that Unicode evolved around string, and so we had to move to UTF-16, so we have surrogate pairs to represent all the Unicode stuff. So yeah, that's a problem. I don't see if that's going to happen. But also, as Alex mentioned earlier when he was talking about text blocks and raw string literals, text blocks have replaced the raw string literals proposal. There's a lot of evolution in strings underway, and so yeah, so people do have problems with strings, and we're continuing to evolve them with the language and the libraries to accommodate them.
Okay, so that's right on time. So I'd like to thank all of you guys here for being here once more. Everyone here for being here, and put your hands together for those Java champions and everyone else, right? Thank you. All right on time. Okay, and since I'm up here, I'm just gonna, if you guys want my book for free, this is the URL you can get my book for free. It's a book that is going to help you get the best jobs in the industry. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.